Good afternoon and welcome to Research Training Academy episode where we engage with you on a number of issues. We said that we would touch base on the stakeholder power interest grid, the role of stakeholders in the policy programs or projects, why are they important, and who are the type of stakeholders that we should consider most. We should make sure that they keep on engaged, they keep engaged. And the stakeholders that perhaps as much as they matter most, maybe perhaps when we do our own mapping, there may not be so much to consider. Some step when I was connecting here. Like I've said, Research Training Academy it's a training and consulting business. We offer a number of training programs and also a number of areas where we consult on. You can visit our website, www.rishaacademy.coza. But in terms of the consulting, we offer a number of consulting services, whether it's project management, maybe you just want your projects to be managed, or you want us to help with developing a project management framework, or you want us to help with a project close, or maybe you want also to help with M&E framework, which are around policy, program evaluation, the issue on how we can develop effective teams. Maybe you just need somebody to facilitate your strategy session and actual development of the strategy. You need people that can help with developing policy. We are here. I also want to clarify that we, because of some other regulations that we need to comply with, we are unable to do business with the state. Yeah, so if you are employee in public service, you are welcome, but you should be able to pay from your own pocket. But for other sectors, they must feel welcome. In terms of the courses, we have strategy, risk management, stakeholder management, policy, results-based monitoring and evaluation, project management, community development, business development, and many more. You can go and check on our website. You can email us at info@rishaacademy.coza. Stakeholder management, it's a way of assessing the stakeholders, because as you embark on policy or programs or projects, there are parties that they will be impacted directly or indirectly. And why we need to manage stakeholders, it is simply because they have interest, they have a stake in that initiative that you are busy with. That's why we say stakeholder management is a process of identifying, assessing the stakeholders in terms of the impacts on your initiative. But also, stakeholder management is very much important to the initiative you could be involved in, because stakeholders do provide, the kind of support that you need. Maybe you are in a particular project or policy. These are the stakeholders that could be, maybe some stakeholders are there just for funding you. Some are regulators, some are community structures, some are internal people. If you're in policy, it could be your policy evaluators. If you're in program, it could be the program implementers. Maybe you're busy developing this program, but there are people that should then come and implement this program. So that is, but also they give us insights in terms of the other issues, that give us a proper feedback in terms of how we are doing, but they could also help us to ensure that we are on track in terms of the other issues that perhaps we may not have taken them seriously. At times stakeholders are the ones who could wake you up to say, hey, you have been asleep. Here are the issues. When you see at times service delivery protest and so many things, at times it's because there's a failure in stakeholder management. And at times it's because when we do our own stakeholder analysis, there could have been key stakeholders that were not included, and that's why I wanted to visualize this presentation, but like I've said, I seem to have that challenge here. So let's look at this stakeholder power interest grid. What is that? We have 4 categories if you want to do stakeholder mapping. We have those stakeholders that we call them, there's high power, high interest. Who are these stakeholders that are high power, high interest? These are the stakeholders that you cannot do anything without them. These are the stakeholders that any mistake that you can do, if you were not to involve them, you are likely to have challenges. And then you have a second group, which is high power, low interest. These stakeholders, they have much power. They may not have so much interest in your program, in your policy, but they have much power. And you cannot, on the basis that they have low interest, and undermine the role that they could play. And then we have other category of low power, high interest. They don't really have much impact in terms of what they could do, but their interest in the project is very much high. It could be a grouping or some structure in the community that in terms of your own analysis, they may not have so much, they cannot do so much, but because they have so much interest, it's something that you cannot take lying down. And then you have the last one, which is the low power, low interest. So these ones, low power, low interest, are your stakeholders that do not necessarily have the so much. So they have no power, they have low interest, but So these are the four powers that we've spoken about: the high power, high interest; the high power, low interest; low power, high interest; low power, low interest. What does it mean when you have this kind of stakeholders? Now, the low power, low interest are your stakeholders at the bottom of your stakeholder power interest grid. They're at the bottom. So they may not necessarily give you problems. They may not necessarily make your life difficult. But the bad thing that you can do is to think that because they are of low power and low interest, I must ignore them, because as we have seen even before, and we continue to witness that, stakeholders that may not have been considered important, they gradually change their status to become impact. Let's look at what happened in George, the building that was being built that collapsed. Some people died, some people survived. So the stakeholders that may not be so much important during the construction, because of this tragedy, have become so much important. So what I'm trying to say is that your stakeholders' role or impact or influence, it changes over time. So your high power, high interest, for instance, these are the stakeholders that they do have high impact on your project. You must keep on engaging. You must make sure that you bring them closer, because these are the people that can build or break you. If you are going to do a business, for instance, that might require license, like you want to run a service station and it must be licensed. You want to run a mine, it must be licensed. So you'll have regulators as high power as high interest, because if you do not comply with that, you are in deep, deep trouble. Now, you have these ones that are high power, low interest. So these stakeholders, they may not show interest in your project. You are busy with your project, you are constructing RDP houses, you are busy with whatever that you are doing, but they have so much power. But their interest, it is really not really there. But in terms now of your engagement, you need to engage them as well. So in other words, these are the stakeholders that you must keep satisfied. These ones that are higher power, lower interest. You keep them satisfied. I've already said that those ones who are high power, high interest, this one you bring them closer to you, because these are the people that can break and build you or build you. So you keep them, the high power, high interest, you bring them closer to you. You make sure that you engage with them. If there must be weekly meetings with them, it must happen. But these ones that have high power, low interest, you must make sure that the consultation continues. You keep them satisfied. If they were to raise some issues, you bring them to the boardroom and discuss the issues that you have to discuss them. Then you have these ones that are of low power, high interest. So we keep them informed. These are the people that might, as much as they've low power, these are the people that can mobilize against you. These are the people that can mobilize for you. If, for instance, you are been given a tender to do some projects in a particular municipality, there will always be issues there. So you have this group of people that in terms of power, they may not have power to change anything, But because they are so much interested in this, it may give you a problem if you don't bring them on board, if you don't keep them informed. But of course, in terms of consultations, in terms of engagement, in terms of keeping them informed, they are not in the same category as high power, high interest, or high power, low interest. And then the fourth one, as I've said, is those ones that have low interest, low power, low interest. So it's not like they're not important. They are important. But in terms of prioritization, they are at the basement of this power interest grid. So you monitor them. So in other words, if high power, high interest, you were to engage them weekly, this one you might look into sending them reports maybe on quarterly basis or on monthly basis. You are just monitor. You look at them. You can look at them even from the distance. Their actions, what are they saying? So you are just monitoring their behavior towards the project, because they have no power, they have no interest. But those ones that have no power, more interest, they can break you. Those ones that have high power, low interest, don't say because they have low interest, they might not be interested in what you are doing. But the power they hold is too much that it can give you problems. But as I've said, these stakeholders, over time, they graduate from one category of power interest to another. The group that may not be so much important when you start. That's why it's very much important. Even those ones that are least important when you start, you need to engage them. If, for instance, you are developing a policy, you have different, you are busy with your consultation plan, look at this power interest grids, stakeholder power interest grids, to check, to say, out of 20 or 30 stakeholders that have identified. In other words, when you start to map, you can put a block, a block where you are able to say, this is, I'm trying to check if I can have something here, because, hey, I'm having a situation here. I want to see if I can, it seems as I'm not winning. I wanted to really demonstrate this. You start to say the stakeholder 1, stakeholder 2, stakeholder 3, up to stakeholder 20 or 30 that you have. You start to ask yourself, in terms of the power grid, where does this stakeholder fall? Are they in high power, high interest? Is this stakeholder low power, low interest? When you start to put that in the map, now you know that these are the stakeholders that I cannot do anything without them. These are the stakeholders that I must make sure that I listen to their issues. These are the stakeholders that I must make sure that as much as they are they're at the basement, I must monitor their behavior towards what we are doing. So that is very much important in terms of stakeholder power interest grid. We tend to not take this serious. I'm not happy because I'm unable to show this thing. I thought I could get something where I could, and I seem to not have anything here that I can show you. The other thing that, we need to learn to take stakeholders very much seriously in whatever endeavor that we are involved in. I've seen cases where there were projects that were done in the communities, because stakeholder analysis was not done. If it was done not properly, now you have the chiefs and everyone coming later to say, but hey, you need to look after us. And of course, in terms of your project budget, you may not have this look after us. You may not have budgeted for that. Actually, what was required here was that had you engaged, had you properly identified the stakeholders and analyzed their contributions and analyze their interests, analyze their impact, you would have known that when I go to that community, I must go to the traditional authority and make sure that they understand what we are trying to achieve here. I would have asked whether are they in other structures in the community. It doesn't matter if they will still be in the low power, low interest grid, but I will know that these are the stakeholders that I must consider. Because really the issue of stakeholders is just also like in our families. There are other transactions that yourself as a husband or as a wife you can't do without informing the husband. It means that in terms of stakeholder analysis, that person becomes very much important. You cannot do this without this person agreeing. The bank will say, "Does your spouse agree? Does your spouse support this?" So it shows the importance of that stakeholder. Your children at times may be of lower power, low interest, but there are certain times that for other initiatives, they move now because they're the ones who must assist you. Maybe you are struggling with operating a smartphone. So it means that their status as low interest, low power, low interest, it gradually goes up because they are the ones now this time that they must be able to help you. So it's the same as in the stakeholder management, and we offer this program at Teacher Training Academy. It's a very much comprehensive course, and I want to encourage everyone to register. I would have wanted to share my presentation, but like I've said, I may have skipped some process. So as I was trying to go live, so and thanks very much. Continue to support us. We'll continue to do this kind of episodes where we engage on a number of issues. We'll continue to engage on all our programs that we offer so that you could also understand and then see that as evidence of our strength as Research Training Academy, that when you come to enroll here, you would really be met with a cutting-edge curriculum, a very well-researched curriculum that talks to issues that are happening today. We don't just teach here, but we also make sure that the curriculum can talk to what is going on currently, so that you are able to grasp these things and become expert in your own right. So with that, I would like to end it there, and thank you, good night, and God